I've gotten a few comments asking where I've been for the past month and when the next video is coming. But to tell you the truth, I don't know. I've been super busy with school and my main Marvel channel where I upload daily. But since it has been quite a while since my last video, and I've wanted to talk about this for a while, hopefully you guys enjoy this one about OVERHYPE in the meantime. And I am planning to make a Qin Shi Huang vs Hades prediction video, so let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Or I can always just make another Black Clover video, since those do about 100 times better than anything else. Anyways, here's the video, and I really hope you enjoy. As you may know, I like anime, even been learning Japanese, because how cool would it be to actually understand what the characters are saying without subtitles? And not just the words they say a million times per episode that everyone knows, like sugoi, baka, and kuso, but to actually understand what they're saying. Anyways, while I love anime, the main thing I hate is overhype. Sure, it's inevitable, but it can so easily ruin a show by raising your expectations to ridiculous levels. Now before I move on, I want to say that I didn't dislike any of the anime that I'm going to be talking about in this video. I just don't like them as much as most fans do, or think that they were as amazing as everyone else does. And this is mainly due to the fact that the overhype set the bar at such a high level that when I finally got around to watching them, they underperformed in my eyes. For example, the main three that I'll be talking about in this video: Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Demon Slayer, and Arcane. So let me start by breaking each of these down. I did enjoy FMA, especially the last few episodes where they were fighting against Bradley and Father. However, until that point, I kept asking myself, when is this really gonna get good? And the reason being a pretty valid one in my opinion. Everyone who talks about the show puts it in their top 10 or even top 3 favorite anime. And if you check on my anime list, it's the #1 ranked anime ever with 9.15 stars, the most favorited anime on the site, and the 3rd most popular overall. So I went into this thinking that it would blow my favorite anime like Black Clover, Dragon Ball, or One Piece completely out of the water. And it just didn't. Now this is definitely just a problem with me. You may love these shows and say, just don't get your expectations so high. And that's true. But when any time it's mentioned, all you hear is extremely positive praise, it's hard to not get excited and start thinking about what made so many people fall in love with the show and placed it on such a high pedestal. I can't exactly name one single thing that made me not enjoy the show so much. Like the fights were cool, alchemy was an interesting power, and the story was compact. It wasn't a 1,000 plus episode behemoth like One Piece, and while that did make the story feel more cohesive, it made it feel a bit shallow if that makes sense. We didn't get to learn a lot of these characters' stories, see how they evolved as characters over time, or see them interact with each other too much. For example, some of my favorite parts of the show were Mustang and Hawkeye's relationship, Ling Yao and Greed becoming friends, and the short scene where Olivier beat the shit out of Alex, yet he understood what her plan was. But we barely got any of that because the story was so focused on defeating the homunculi and Father. And that's one of the problems that most short anime have, and is something that Demon Slayer and Arcane struggle with in my opinion as well. So while I wouldn't give it a 9.15, I do think the show was good. It just didn't live up to my expectations created by the excitement and praise from others. I'm actually kinda scared to talk about this one just because of the fans behind it, but here goes. Just like with Fullmetal Alchemist, I did enjoy Demon Slayer, but I still don't understand why everyone thinks it's such a good show. I mean, my favorite part, just like everyone else, was the fight between Rengoku and Akaza, which I would say is peak Demon Slayer. But I don't think that any of the rest of the show, or movie, at least so far, has hit that point. Now I haven't watched season 2 yet because I'd rather binge all the episodes than watch weekly, just a personal preference, but that means that I can't talk about the most recent episodes or the rest of the story in the manga. Based off previous experience, I doubt it, but season 2 might actually be on the level of the Akaza fight. I just wouldn't know. But at least in season 1, while there were definitely some really good parts, mainly the fights, I couldn't care less about some other parts. Anything with Zenitsu, other than when he was sleeping, was such a drag to get through. Like, I understand that his character is meant to embody the annoying crybaby trope, but he takes it to another level. Characters like Takemichi, Subaru, and even Usopp sometimes ruin shows more than the overhype, but I think that in this case, Zenitsu is my least favorite and has almost no redeeming qualities. Like Usopp post-time skip has at least done some things to make him a likable character. While Takemichi is literally useless, Mikey and the rest of the characters save the show. I mean, how are you in the #1 gang in Tokyo and never ask someone to teach you to fight? And while I despise crying characters like Subaru, and it was one of the main reasons why I didn't really enjoy ReZero, I at least understood why it was done. I mean, dying over and over and over, and in some cases, committing suicide, just to have everything you've done up to that point be erased must be really hard. But moving off Zenitsu, I don't know. You see, I can't really explain it. I just know that I don't feel the same way as everyone else who watched these shows. I didn't feel like the shows were mind-blowingly good. But the worst part is I can't even give good reasons why. Like maybe if I thought the fights weren't that good, I could go back, rewatch the show, and be like, no, I was totally wrong. But there's not one clear reason why, and that's what makes it so frustrating. For a show about a game I've never played, and based off what I've heard, I'm not the least bit interested in falling back into another soul-sucking obsessive trap like Overwatch, it was pretty good. It didn't need to teach you who the characters were in the game, because if you're like me, you're not going to go play the game after watching the show. So it was able to just build the characters' relationships and stories up to a decent enough point in its 9 episodes. But to me, the animation is really the only thing I thought hit the level that everyone was talking about. If you've played the games and are invested in that story, you may have seen it in a different light. But again, it just didn't hit that level for me. Some of my favorite and most memorable experiences in anime have been with lesser known or popular series like To the Abandoned Sacred Beast and Record of Ragnarok, but most people wouldn't put those even in their top 20 or 30 shows. I mean, Record of Ragnarok got shit on for the awful PowerPoint animation, just like the 7 Deadly Sins any point past season 2 and the new movie, which, oh my god, looks awful. But even in that show, Ban is one of my favorite characters in all of anime, and the story was actually really good. And thinking back on it, To the Abandoned Sacred Beast didn't have the best story in its first 12 episodes, but again, that's just a flaw short shows have, and it does actually get better in the manga. But being one of the first shows I watched, it holds a special place in my heart. Other shows in manga like Black Clover, My Hero, S-Class, and even Dragon Quest The Adventures of Dai have been some of my favorites, not only because they were series that I found on my own, even if they are more popular, but because they genuinely have amazing stories. So I guess if you take anything from this video, is that if you really enjoy a show, don't let anyone ruin it for you or change your opinion on it. And what I need to work on, if you hear about a show that everyone's excited for, don't let your expectations get too high, lest you be disappointed.